Hello, I'm privileged to be able to share with you a short midweek thought this week. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Ian. I'm the vicar at St Matthew's in Kingston in Bristol, and I'm just sharing this thought from our little chapel in our worship area in St Matthew's. Last week, I had the joy and privilege of spending some time with two other clergy colleagues on different occasions. One of them was down in St Paul's, our neighbouring parish, where they have started a ministry provision of a warm welcome space on a weekday, on Tuesdays over lunchtime, where they provide a warm soup and just company and that warm space for those who are in real need at the moment during this cost of living crisis. And it's a real joy to see their faithfulness in just opening their doors and offering this provision. And as the winter draws on, as things get colder, as times get tougher, for those in real need with the cost of living crisis, these sorts of warm and welcome spaces could be lifesavers. And I spent some more time with another colleague. We were having a catch up about different things of ministry. And one of the things we spoke about was the cost of living crisis. And we spoke about that phrase, cost of living crisis. Now, in a way, that is a media-generated term. And we were breaking it down as we thought about it. Cost of living. Crisis. Undoubtedly, for many, many people, these current times with bills going so high, food prices shooting up, energy prices shooting up, for many, many people now and throughout this winter, there is a real crisis. But for some, maybe, it isn't a cost of living crisis. It isn't a cost of living crisis for everybody. For some folk are in the privileged position of merely knowing that actually they will have less savings or less disposable income, or maybe just by cutting out some luxuries or reducing their lifestyle in a different way, they won't have so much. But is that a cost of living crisis compared to the needs of those who really do have a cost of living crisis? It is a gross inconvenience and it's really frustrating. But it's not a cost of living crisis for everybody in that way, if we really break down that phrase, cost of living. Cost of living. What is the cost of living? What is the cost of life? For some people, the freezing temperatures and lack of food will be a cost about how they actually live. And that is huge. There is one person only who knew utterly and ultimately what the cost of life was all about. And that is Jesus. Because Jesus Christ paid the greatest cost of all for all people, every man, woman, and child for all time. He paid the ultimate cost for life, of death on the cross, taking the weight of the sinfulness and brokenness of the world upon his shoulders. And he rose again to new life, life in all its fullness, defeating all the darkness of death and sin, so that everybody could have life, and life in all its fullness. So when we think about the cost of living, the cost of life, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for you and me when we break down that phrase that can be so easily and generally used? The cost of life, the cost of living. As we think about how we can respond as Christians to help those who really do have dreadful problems facing the cost of living this winter, in a way that even 18 months ago we might never have been able to understand. As we think about that, let's also think about the cost of life in all its fullness, and where the greatest love that can be shown to people can come from. Christ calls us to be imitators of him and his ways in how we share his love in the world. I'm going to end this thought by reading some words from the first letter of John, chapter 3. We know love, says John, by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for one another. How does God's love abide in anyone who has the world's goods and sees a brother or sister in need and yet refuses help? Little children, let us love not in word or speech, but in truth and action. You and I can make a huge difference when we think about how we can help people with the cost of life and living as we share the love of Jesus. Thank you.